Welcome to Lost in Revision. All of our content is public domain, literature, fairy tales, and folklore. All of our music is by Nathan Hubble and is used with his permission. Thanks, and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Lost in Revision, brought to you by Existential and Constitutional Crises.
Yay!
I'm here as always with two of my favorite humans, Angel and Polly. How are you today, Angel?
Well, I'm a little tired because we have spent the weekend finally setting up a new fish tank now that the giant whale of an algae eater finally died. He was well over 10 years old and had pretty much taken over the old tank, which was a good 14 years old itself, and there was a certain level of clean that was never going to happen again. So there are now 4 catfish and 1 confused neon tetra that we didn't realize was still alive, swimming all over the new tank, kind of freaked out at all the color and clarity.
That's like when I clean my shrimp's tank of the algae on the glass and they get mad at me because all their food is gone. So how about you, Polly?
Well, I just watched my youngest in her stage debut as a speaking character. Well, like 2 or 3 speaking characters. Through the marvelous utility of makeup and costume changes, she was Goblin number 3 and townsperson or some such in the local community theater production of The Hobbit, which was really good on the scale of local community theater productions of anything. The special effects were excellent, and Gollum was on stage for like 2 seconds and completely stole the show.
Of course, it's Gollum.
That's awesome. I can relate because me and Brad, our date night last night was going to see my middle school students perform in Newsies Junior. And, I was impressed at how well they did. And it was so wonderful to watch the energy of them just getting so hyped up for their time on stage. So did she absolutely love the experience?
I think she did. She seemed very excited about it. And when I left her, she was getting ready to go out with the boyfriend. So I had to bring her flowers home and her other flowers from her adoring fans and put them in a vase for her.
Nothing better than adoring fans.
Adoring fans are great, and boyfriends not so much, but
He's an awesome boyfriend. He's a goblin child.
I like my boyfriend.
To each their own, I said. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the history and culture of this story?
Well, the history and culture of this story. Well, we were going to be discussing Sergei Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf in keeping with our Big Bad Wolf and Clever Cat theme, but apparently the Copyright Restoration Act of 1996 took it away from us, and that's all I can say on that topic without paying royalties to Prokofiev's estate.
I still say we qualify for fair use, but less headaches to play it safe.
That's true. Better safe than sorry. But it is sad that we don't get to also talk about how wonderful the composition is for teaching the instruments of the orchestra. But on we go to this week's safety net selection.
I mean, we can talk about it as just a version. We just can't read it as the main story.
Well, out of sake of safety, instead of the Russian ballet, we will be going to ancient Greece for a collection of fables from the 6th century BCE, very safely within the public domain because they all did.
It old.
Aesop, if such a person existed, was a fabulist.
Ooh, I want to be a fabulist.
Not fabulous, but a fabulist is a person who composes fables. So we're all fabulous.
I was about to say, I'm still a fabulous then.
We are fabulistas.
The plural of fabulous.
I guess we're making this up. So he was a storyteller in Greece around the same time in history that Babylon was rounding up all the best and the brightest in the region. In his lifetime, the not yet so named Halley's Comet would have been visible. Milan and Pompeii were founded, and the Olmecs had a hand in creating a Mesoamerican calendrical system. Very busy.
Wow, what a fantastic setting of historic scene. I love how that puts things into perspective. Very well done.
We need more perspective these days.
We do so much. Fables are short stories meant to illustrate a lesson or moral.
We need more of those too.
Yeah. And Aesop had a lot to say about the moral state of Greece. He told a lot of tales about wolves, usually positioning the wolf as a character to be avoided, a liar or a hypocrite, untrustworthy, a schemer or a fool. Aesop's fables carry moral lessons that have rung true throughout the centuries. Most people even know these lessons in homilies such as once bitten, twice shy, look before you leap, or honesty is the best policy.
Mm.
Aesop may be responsible for nearly as many idioms still in use today as Shakespeare was. More than 24 fables feature a wolf. I have selected 6 randomly to read here.
Also, you said you might be able to record some extras for our Patreon, and those will be at our $1 a month level Patreon if anybody wants to go check out those stories as well.
Absolutely.
Nice. You know, it makes sense that the wolf would be used as a villain in a society that depended heavily on sheep for so much of their lifestyle.
That is one situation that I might agree the wolf could be a villain. So let's move on to the reading of the stories, and then we can discuss them after.
The Wolf and the Lamb. Once upon a time, a wolf was lapping at a spring on a hillside when, looking up, what should he see but a lamb just beginning to drink a little lower down. "There's my supper," thought he, "if only I can find some excuse to seize it." Then he called out to the lamb, "How dare you muddle the water from which I am drinking?" "Nay, master, nay," said Lambikin. "If the water be muddy up there, I cannot be the cause of it, for it runs down from you to me." "Well then," said the wolf, "why did you call me bad names this time last year?" "That cannot be," said the lamb. "I am only 6 months old." "I don't care," snarled the wolf. "If it was not you, it was your father." And with that he rushed upon the poor little lamb and wara 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 ate her all up. But before she died, she gasped out, "Any excuse will serve a tyrant." The Wolf and the Crane. A wolf had been gorging on an animal he had killed when suddenly a small bone in the meat stuck in his throat, and he could not swallow it. He soon felt terrible pain in his throat and ran up and down, groaning and seeking for something to relieve the pain. He tried to induce everyone he met to remove the bone. "I would give anything," said he, "if you would take it out." At last the crane agreed to try, and told the wolf to lie on his side and open his jaws as wide as he could. Then the crane put its long neck down the wolf's throat, and with its beak loosened the bone till at last it got it out. "Will you kindly give me the reward you promised?" said the crane. The wolf grinned and showed his teeth and said, "Be content. You have put your head inside a wolf's mouth and taken it out again in safety. That ought to be a reward enough for you." Gratitude and greed go not together. The Wolf and the Kid. A kid was perched up on the top of a house, and looking down saw a wolf passing under him. Immediately he began to revile and attack his enemy. "Murderer and thief!" he cried. "What do you here near honest folks' houses? How dare you make an appearance where your vile deeds are known?" "Curse away, my young friend," said the wolf. "It is easy to be brave from a safe distance." The Dog and the Wolf. A gaunt wolf was almost dead with hunger when he happened to meet a house dog who was passing by. "Ah, cousin," said the dog, "I knew how it would be. Your irregular life will soon be the ruin of you. Why do you not work steadily as I do and get your food regularly given to you?" "I would have no objection," said the wolf, "if I could only get a place." "I will easily arrange that for you," said the dog. "Come with me to my master, and you shall share my work." So the wolf and the dog went towards the town together. On the way there, the wolf noticed that the hair on a certain part of the dog's neck was very much worn away, so he asked him how that had come about. "Oh, it is nothing," said the dog. "That is only the place where the collar is put on at night to keep me chained up. It chafes a bit, but one soon gets used to it." "Is that all?" said the wolf. "Then good-bye to you, master dog. Better starve free than be a fat slave." The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. A wolf found great difficulty in getting at the sheep owing to the vigilance of the shepherd and his dogs. But one day it found the skin of a sheep that had been flayed and thrown aside. So it put it on over its own pelt and strolled down among the sheep. The lamb that belonged to the sheep, whose skin the wolf was wearing, began to follow the wolf in sheep's clothing. So, leading the lamb a little apart, he soon made a meal off her, and for some time he succeeded in deceiving the sheep and enjoying hearty meals. Appearances are deceptive. The Nurse and the Wolf. "Be quiet now," said an old nurse to a child sitting on her lap. "If you make that noise again, I will throw you to the wolf." Now it chanced that a wolf was passing close under the window as this was said, so he crouched down by the side of the house and waited. "I am in good luck today," thought he. "It is sure to cry soon, and a daintier morsel I haven't had for many a long day." So he waited, and he waited, and he waited, till at last the child began to cry, and the wolf came forward before the window and looked up to the nurse, wagging his tail. But all the nurse did was to shut the window and call for help, and the dogs of the house came rushing out. "Ah," said the wolf as he galloped away, "enemies' promises were made to be broken."
And we are back. So, what is your favorite part or version of this story?
Well, generally the wolf is regarded as a villain, but he is also brutally honest. Yes, he was going to kill you and eat you because he was hungry, and that is his nature, but don't think you survived through any merit of your own. It was merely your circumstances that saved you. You were not fortunate, you were not skillful. It speaks against people who claim to have risen above the rest by their own merit, when what happened was a series of fortunate events that allowed them, by chance, to succeed.
I don't know. A lot of the people I have to deal with on a daily basis who claim to simply be honest, as they say really nasty things, are actually just jerks who don't want to spend the energy to even attempt the basic level of tact.
I mean, I'm actually like just honest. Sometimes it can be brutal, but I try to be nice about it. So,
But you'll note that I did not differentiate between villain and honest. The best villains are honest. Lying is for weak fools.
well, I am a villain.
And I am generally honest, but it's because I don't want to have to remember the details of any lies. Being dishonest just takes too much energy. So I guess you could say being a weak fool is why I am honest.
I agree that honesty is much easier. Though my reason for honesty is that I've just never taken other people's feelings into account if I'm speaking the truth. Truth is the truth. So don't get mad. Show me evidence that I'm wrong and I'll change my mind immediately.
Well, my favorite of the fables that you read is The Wolf and the Lamb. The any excuse will serve a tyrant just kind of hit home really hard right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was the kid on the roof because it just made me think of internet trolls.
Mm.
Oh, if you're not going to get punched in the face, you're willing to say a lot more. So, what is your least favorite part or version?
Yeah, I don't care for the way Europe and associated cultures view wolves as villainous. Native American cultures, North, Central, South, they all regard wolves or wolf spirits as dignified and wise, the embodiment of the skilled hunter. Their folklore and religions reflect this, so if you encounter anything presented as American lore, which depicts the wolf as either villainous or a god, it is probably heavily influenced by European culture.
Well, the native way of life wasn't threatened by the natural habits of wolves. They were sometimes competitors for the same food, but it is different to compete with someone honestly than to feel like someone is stealing from you.
Oh, yeah. And wolves are extremely important to their ecosystems, and it has been proven repeatedly. Reintroducing wolves to Yellowstone even changed the course of the river.
What I love about when you look into the whole thing with Yellowstone is how influential just one pack of wolves could be. It was just one pack, and it caused shifts in where the different prey animals were and
Mhm.
the trees that were then available because all the bark hadn't been stripped off, and then that caused the beavers to have more trees and to come back to the streams. And it was just, when you read the whole report about it, it's just amazing the impact of one pack can have on the ecosystem.
My favorite part of the wolves being reintroduced to Yellowstone was that they airdropped some of them in, and that's just funny to me. I just imagine them wearing those parachutes.
Pull the cord.
Oh no, they got the auto pulls. So what do you think the original lessons of the story were trying to convey?
Wow. Where do I start?
This is
The
literally the person that wrote
yeah,
about lessons.
right.
Like, they're all there, it's listed. This is just the format of the podcast, so we will answer the question.
I bow to the okay. So the kid on the roof. Let's go with that one. Don't boast to your enemies from a place of privilege and protection and call it merit. It's easy to be brave when you can't be touched.
Huh.
Internet trolls take note. Another original and modern lesson in one.
Yeah, that one very much made me think of how brave people tend to be from the anonymity of the internet. I think a lot of the Wolf original lessons have to do with lessons of trust and good character in general. I mean, if you think about it, it's a lot of taking advantage of a situation sort of thing, stories.
Honestly, even though it's wrong in a way to characterize wolves as the sleazy type people, that is kind of their hunting style. So they're not wrong. They do prey on the weak. So it's just so that they don't get injured. It's self-preservation, not like humans do it.
Well, they provide a service to nature.
Yeah.
I can
Right.
think of a few people I'd like to move to the edge of the herd.
Somebody posted about all of the videos people are making about things they wish would happen. And my response on that post, my comment has like 1,000 likes already, because all I said was, there are two types of people in this world: those who can extrapolate from incomplete information. ... That's all. So what do you think the modern lesson would be?
Look at the wolf in sheep's clothing. The version I read here, the popular version, has one moral, and a lot of people think it's about not trusting, about verifying those who claim to be your friends. It's a very important lesson. But they miss out on the other version, which ends differently, with the shepherd mistaking the disguised wolf for a sheep and killing it for his dinner.
Hmm.
The wolf intended to be villainous, but chance and luck turned against him. So trust, but verify, yes, but also be sure your sins will find you out. Disguising yourself as an ally only lasts until your true nature comes to light.
Ooh, I like that one. I haven't seen the version where the shepherd eats the wolf. That's an interesting twist.
I
That
like
would
it.
teach an entirely different lesson. And it makes me wonder about what sort of twists could change the lessons being taught by some of the other stories. I mean, I think the wolf and the crane would be improved with a little tweaking. I admit to being surprised that the crane came away with his head still on his neck.
Right?
Like,
I thought it was gonna end up like the scorpion.
Yeah, well, he did with that bone out, so.
yeah. But if it was the same story, but instead of a crane, it was some other creature that could reach down the wolf's throat, but one that had an even worse reputation for being villains, like a snake. I don't think a snake would be so calm about being cheated out of their promised reward.
Yeah. And a big enough snake could take out a wolf easy.
Oh yeah. We could put the kid back on the wolf and then turn it around and make it about making sure that your house is structurally sound when the kid falls through the roof and gets eaten by the wolf.
Oh
We
my
could
God, structurally sound houses. Sorry. Earlier today, we were sitting here in the house and there was this huge boom. And we were like, what fell? What just hit the house? We're going around trying to figure it out. And then it turns out that about 12 miles away from us, a house just exploded, like completely collapsed. There was like a mushroom cloud over the house that somebody playing soccer caught. And there are people as far away as Georgetown and stuff who are reporting that they heard the boom and felt the shake from
Oh,
whatever caused this house to explode.
that's a certain kind of lab right there.
Yeah,
Woo!
Breaking
We
Bad,
can't
breaking
really
houses.
we Breaking Bad type of house for
Yeah.
sure. We can't really mention the type of lab that was, but I would have an 80% probability on
I,
Breaking Bad type
I would
house.
not be breathing downwind to that.
Uh-uh.
That was it was legit terrifying when it happened earlier.
I can imagine. I've been through mortar attacks and rocket attacks in Iraq, so
Ooh.
I understand the feeling. Mine were more expected than yours, though.
I've seen enough destroyed houses to last me for a while. We had like 4 tornadoes touch down right around here and destroyed
Oh,
whole
the
communities.
season this year is so
Oh,
wild.
it's
Everything's
awful.
going east of us, and everybody was I don't know, I'm not gonna say judgy. Everybody thought I was weird for moving to Oklahoma, and they're like, "But what about tornadoes?" And I'm like, "Well, if you look
What
at
about
this
hurricanes?
season,
What about
they're all going
earthquakes?
east. This is Tornado Alley. It's really not as bad as Dixie Alley, where you
But
are."
why do the tornadoes always hit the new developments where people are living and not like the old broken down uninhabited rentals that nobody
Honestly,
can?
can I tell you my theory on that? The reason that I bought a house that's a little bit older than me is because it has made it this long without having a disaster happen, it's less likely to happen in the future.
Oh.
A new developed area might have had some of those tornadoes roll through there and there was no damage, so people didn't clock it.
Mm.
Hmm.
But now that something's built there, people notice that a tornado went through there.
Yeah.
So it's not that the tornado's aiming for it, it's that people noticed.
Well, the one that came through Selmer went right down this one road, and it took out old houses, a brand new apartment complex.
Oh yeah, you can't anticipate tornadoes, but they are more likely to go through a newer development area, in my opinion, because they've been going through there and people shouldn't notice. That's just my thought on it. In closing, what do you think happened after the story?
Well, it's hard to say what happened after a fable. It pretty much wrapped up. But Aesop was said to have been executed by being thrown off a cliff for being unthinkably ugly.
Oh,
But
bless
more
his heart.
likely, it was because he made some people uncomfortable with his inconvenient truths.
Uh,
However, it is likely that the person of Aesop didn't actually exist, but was actually a fictional storyteller like Uncle Remus, a respected character to whom uncomfortable truths were attributed, but who never actually lived. His stories did exist, though, and they were recorded in some fashion and have carried on for 26 or 2,700 years, making this some of the oldest content we have covered to date.
The original pen name for writing stories you don't want your family being embarrassed if the neighbors know that you're the one writing them.
I just post my own embarrassing views. It's probably because I'm neurospicy and I just don't care what other people think. And I also can't learn new things from others if I don't share my opinions. If I don't argue with people, how do I learn new things?
Right? Right? I could see some peevish Greek official going, "Where is this man who speaks such blasphemy?" Translation, "I'm offended because I'm in this picture and I don't like it." And the locals were like, "Oh yeah, he was fugly, so we chucked him off a cliff."
Is this story about us?
And it was most likely the person who had been writing the stories who started the rumor of his untimely death. Especially if the writer was actually a woman. I mean, what a great cover.
It's like the original Marybang Cliff at the cliff.
Well, I think that the kid that was on the roof grew up to be an internet troll and needs to meet a nice cliff to learn a lesson.
Ugh, trolls. I had trolls on my TikTok feed the other day. They were trying to get me to say dirty things. I'm like, "What are you, 12?"
They were probably bots.
I live with trolls. I teach middle school boys.
The new boomers. You're teaching the new boomers.
I am.
I banned, instead of banning the account, I banned the words they were trying to get me to say, and one of them came back with like, "Oh no, please!" I'm like,
Oh
"No, go
no.
away!
Oh
I am not your
no.
mother. I will spank you."
They want that.
No, 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 no. I didn't actually say that because yes, my number is
They,
no. My age is no. My name is no.
they probably wouldn't
Go
turn you
away. Ugh,
down.
gross.
That's why they stayed on your live for so long, irritating you.
Now, what's going to be hilarious is if this post gets trolls.
Ha! I invite them.
I mean, It's kind of how ADHD people get our dopamine. So I mean, come argue with me. You make my brain happy.
No publicity is bad publicity.
Make it blow up.
Ah,
That's why
I'll,
I don't delete comments on any
I
of my
will let
posts.
y'all handle the trolls. I'm too tired.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I got this. I have time now. Thanks for joining us today. Check us out on Patreon, and you can help us meet our small goal of breaking even and covering our expenses. Your support helps pay for all of the things that podcasting requires and helps keep this show alive and growing. If you can't afford to support us financially, go give us a good review, subscribe or follow, and share with your friends and family. Feel free to fact check us and offer suggestions to make our show better for you. You can also send us an email at lostinrevisionpodcast@gmail.com.
There's a lot more waiting for us all at the end of the road.